Hi, I'm Matt with State of Flex, here to talk to you about Kevin Smith's first film, Clerks. It's kind of a weird one to be talking about, but in this past week, on August 2nd, Kevin Smith put into production the third film in his Clerks lineup, Clerks 3. At least that's what it's tentatively titled now. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through week by week, hopefully, and talk about some of Smith's films. If not, do just like a retrospective on each one. Kevin Smith is pretty important to me in my young high school age. He was sort of the first indie filmmaker that I really latched onto. In that his stuff was really easily digestible. If you were a film fan, he made movies for you because the characters in his movies were film fans too, and they talked about pop culture ad nauseum. And much like Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, his films were just really easily digestible. Easy to pass around, but easy to be passed over by general public, so it made you kind of like the benchmark of cool if you've seen one of their films. And Clerks was his first film that I saw. And when I first saw it, I was 14, and I remember liking it. I thought it was an interesting film for a comedy. I wasn't laughing out loud, but I was kind of like smiling here and there throughout the thing. But the thing that I found most interesting was that I was captivated the whole time. It was never boring. It was a movie that runs for 90 minutes with people talking, but it works somehow because the stuff they're talking about is interesting, and interesting in how uninteresting what they're saying is. Smith just has like that gift to have characters speak in a certain way that just is, you latch onto it and you want to listen. And this film is probably the most important one, certainly of his career, because it gave him a career, but I think it'll be forever the movie that he'll be most recognized for. He may make other movies here and there, or he had a career trajectory where it could have gone certain directions, but from here on out, he will be the guy who made Clerks. And it is a film that ages shockingly well, because it is like capturing lightning in a bottle. It was a movie that hit at a very specific time that captured the specific voice and sensibilities of specific people, which is essentially the slacker or grunge crowd of your suburban neighborhood. This is the movie about the people that you see every day, in that you go to the convenience store or the gas station or whatever. You see the people that that are working there, but you never really interact with them. You do your quick transaction, you move beyond them, but you never give them a second thought. This is the movie that caters to those people, the forgotten people in society. That really kind of plays well, and I think that's why it's so well recognized and is so interesting to watch, is because it's a movie whose subject matter was never really explored at that point. You would have scenes like in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, where you'd see somebody who's working at a convenience store, but it would be a slick scene, that was it. It was never the subject of a feature. So he was able to capture that, and anybody who's worked any kind of retail will find that this film is incredibly, ludicrously, ridiculously relatable. It is something that, even though the weird, fantastical things that happen throughout the narrative of the first Clerks movie, there's a dozen little things, just micro moments throughout the entire film, that you're just sitting there like, oh my god, I've lived that life. I've sat there just trying to break up my day so I can get through this stupid shift. I worked in a video store, largely because it looked kind of fun in here. Yeah, so anyway, Clerks is a pretty fantastic movie. This was my introduction to Kevin Smith, to the world of Jay and Silent Bob. And the thing that I think works as a first film is like the screenplay is strong. It has really interesting insights into work life and the people who are jockeying a register, who tend to wax intellectual or poetic about what it is that they do and pass judgment on all the people that are coming through their daily lives, passing judgment on them for working at a convenience store. There's like it touches on this in weird, interesting social ways, and provides some commentary. This is a really interesting film in that light as well. This is a good movie. With even a couple strong performances. I think that specifically Jeff Anderson as Randall Graves is really, really good in this film. And Dante is as well. Brian O'Halloran as Dante is good. Getting into more the artistry of the film, this is a film that was made famously for $27,000, almost $28,000. And Kevin Smith met a couple people in film school in Canada, came back home with the rest of his tuition, funneled it into a screenplay that he was writing. He made the movie set in the convenience store he himself worked at. It has echoes of his own personal history and backstory laced throughout the film. However, it is a unique narrative. But a lot of Smith's movies have an autobiographical feel to them, at least his better ones do, and we will touch on that in the coming weeks, I would imagine. Yeah, this movie does something that's kind of interesting as well, in that it played to the independent film circuits, and almost didn't get picked up until the right couple of people saw it, and then it became a snowball effect. And there's a fantastic documentary, if you have the Clerks Blu-ray or the Clerks 10 DVD, there's a fascinating documentary called The Snowball Effect. It's so good. It's one of those documentaries that when you watch it, it inspires you to want to make your own art. So yeah, check that out. But this film, as written, was sort of echoes Dante's Inferno. The main character's named Dante for this reason, and if you watch throughout the film, it's sort of like he's entering the 9 circles of hell. And if you watch the director's cut, it ends with his release, if you will. So like this film does have some really kind of interesting artistic merit beyond just being the convenience store set film that people touch on. I will say the film does have one sharp criticism, in that it is pretty sexist. Now you can argue that the film is offering perspectives of various characters and stuff like that, and nobody in this film is really a good character. Like, everybody's a well-written character, but nobody's like a genuinely good person, except for maybe Veronica. But everybody in it is on some level a touch of a scumbag. And so you're watching it from the POV of sexist pigs, therefore the film will have some sexist connotations. But the true moment of wisdom, the nugget of wisdom that is presented, that would become like the hat trick that Smith would use for several films, was having Silent Bob speak and say something profound and then walk out the door. Smith being Silent Bob. And the line that he gives is a pretty sexist one. But throughout the film, the female, like, as a whole, is kind of reduced to being lesser than the male experience, which is unfortunate, but weirdly of the time and stuff. That would be my one sharp criticism, is this film does play a little sexist. And one of the things that's interesting of note is that Smith's career trajectory, he is a I would argue a relatively progressive, forward-thinking individual in a lot of respects, but there are certain areas where he just was on the wrong side of history and stuff like that. And he learns and grows, and I think it's an organic process, and that's kind of neat to see throughout his entire career. Of this film also has a couple little scenes that might play a little homophobically. That will become more apparent in later films, where homophobia is really a sharp jabbing criticism of the movie at hand, until it kind of isn't anymore, and he stops using certain language that is definitely dated, but the language used in these films kind of does date the film, and it is like capturing lightning in a bottle, and has this incredibly ethereal, real-world feel. Like, you feel like you're watching a documentary at times with this film. But yeah, I love this film. This movie is phenomenal. I have virtually no criticisms besides the ones that I have just laid out for you. I think that not only does it age well, the humor ages really well. I laugh out loud. The more I see it, the more I find it funny. And the stuff that made me smile when I was younger has made me laugh out loud with age. Because I know it and I've experienced it and stuff like that. And there's a couple little lines of dialogue that always give me a chuckle. I think this is one of, if not his actual funniest film. Dogma also has a lot of laughs that land really, really well. But it's a pretty fantastic movie. Highly recommend Clerks. I give Clerks 4 stars. It's hard to argue what my favorite Kevin Smith movie is. I mean, it isn't. I know which one is my favorite. But I think this is certainly his best film, even if it was accidentally his best film. But this is such a good confluence of events that made a movie that was like a picture-perfect moment in history. And it has been recognized as such. It's in the Library of Congress, for Christ's sake. So, yeah, Clerks, give it a check out. I'm excited for Clerks 3. This is my franchise that I was really hooked me into, like a whole MCU kind of style inner world. I love watching for all the little interconnectedness between all of Smith's films, because they, by and large, are all interconnected. So that's really cool. And one of my dreams was to go to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash and go to the real Quick Stop where they filmed this movie, which a couple of years ago I got a chance to do. Pre-COVID, I did a big East Coast road trip, and one of the first destinations within the first 3 days was to hit Quick Stop. I got to go to Quick Stop, and I bought a t-shirt that said Quick Stop RST Video on it. I was going to try and find it, but it's stashed away right now. But I am wearing my Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash one. I'm a big fan of these movies. I can't wait to talk to you about some more. Some of his movies are really reflective of him as a person and what he's going through. And when he has something interesting to say, something profound to say, his movies are really quite good. And when he doesn't, they are less so. And I will address that in next, presumably what's going to be next week's video, or the next video I do in this franchise breakdown, which will be Mallrats. But this movie, he had something interesting, something personal he really wanted to say, to highlight about the experience of being a registered jockey. And therefore his movie had quite a bit of merit. Yeah, so up next I will talk about Kevin Smith's Mallrats. Hopefully coming at you this coming week. Let me know what your favorite Kevin Smith movie is, and let me know what you thought of Clerks in the comments below. Thanks for watching.